Yes, guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Inter Extra podcast. As per usual, guys, I'm with my good friend Sean, um, Nerazzurri Pirlo, right to the left of me. How are you
What's up?
feeling, bro? How are you doing?
Yo, today has been amazing. It's been crazy. But this past week has been good as well, you know? I can't complain. How about you?
I'm okay, man. I have to admit something to our viewers and listeners before we get started because we recorded a whole hour and 10 minutes yesterday. But great episode. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise because of the news we got today, right? It's Wednesday today. However, we recorded a whole hour and 10 minutes just for my microphone to be disabled in my recording software because I updated my Windows from Windows 10 to Windows 11 overnight and it didn't pick up my microphone. So, but here we are. Try number two. My microphone is on right now, guys. So, if you're hearing me, then it's working, I guess. But yeah, we'll get straight into it because we have a lot to discuss as per usual. We'll try and breeze through most of the news and try and focus on the main stuff. Sean, just let the people know what they have to do.
Yeah. So, of course, as always, make sure you go find us YouTube, X, Twitter, formerly Twitter, Insta. Yeah, those are two that we've got. And then Inter Extra, both of those. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you're listening to us on podcast, give us a 5-star rating and then comment and reply with whatever you want us to what you like, what you want us to do, what you want to hear from us. Um, and yeah, yeah. And share everything with your friends. Bring some more Interisti to the Inter Extra podcast.
Yes, share with everyone. Okay, let's get straight into it because today, this morning, I was at the gym, right? Guys, I was at the gym, yeah. I open my phone. I'm seeing reports, Spot Media said, oh, Acomando 91, shout out. The guy behind Spot Media set, or a lot of the rumors anyway, that we get. I open my phone, right? And I'm reading Mr. X is Ademola Lookman. We recorded yesterday and we were wondering who Mr. X is. We were laughing like, oh, Correa doesn't know anything. Like, they were talking about Lois Openda being the guy behind Mr. X, but who's really Mr. X? You know, they're just saying it for whatever. Mr.
Mhm.
X is real, guys. My voice is even going. Mr. X is real. Ademola Lookman. The player is open for the move. He feels ready for a big jump. Closing a deal will not be easy due to Atalanta's asking price of 45 to 50 million, but Inter's been working on it behind the scenes for a while. And no one knew. No one knew. So,
It's a real like it's only one name as well. You know,
yeah.
we thought Mr. X was going to be 10 names, but
Yep.
it was one, and this is one hell of a Mr. X. I mean, this is incredible news that it's giving me the Hakimi vibes. I know people have been
Yeah.
saying that.
Yeah, slightly, right? You're onto something.
Yeah, we're moving quickly like that, and I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Guys, I'm sorry my voice is going. We recorded a whole episode yesterday, hence why I'm slightly struggling. Yeah, we have a roundup here because the first tweet was this morning, and then things kind of unfolded in the afternoon, and then Thomas got on all of this. He kind of gave us a nice roundup here from Matteo Bazzaghi, who said Ademola Lookman is the first choice for the attack. Inter's ready to offer 40 million, and Talata want more. Whether or not that might change, we have to see. Inter has an agreement with the player, which we'll get into in a second as well. And we have some alternatives. So Nico Gonzalez, Jadon Sancho, and Christopher Nkunku. And there is no need to sell first, guys. This is very important. No need to sell first, which makes things a lot easier and shows me that Oaktree are willing to invest this window and, make a big statement.
Yeah, I mean, and even that investment's all coming from Inter. I mean, this is the work they've been doing for a couple of years now to get Inter to a point where they can make investments for themselves. And even if I think they're probably thinking, even if we lose a little bit this summer and
Yep.
the next couple years, the value of the club is going to skyrocket. I mean, having players like Ademola Lookman in your club and the success that he could bring is only going to make your club look better. And he's
100%.
entering his prime. 27 years old. This is the upper limit of what Oaktree want. And it's I'm blown away at the name because I thought he was going to be too much, but we have some yeah, we have hope. Every like the big names are talking about it. Perula, Shira, DiMarzio, you know, it's impressive that we can do this and we don't have to sell. Yeah, the work has been incredible. And
Right.
I just I'm crossing my fingers and I'm hoping that we don't that we can push this all the way through, that we can finalize the deal because we've had hope like this before, I think.
Yeah. You say impressive. I think it's almost too good to be true. Like, I think a lot of us, like, when we opened our Twitter today and we saw these news, like, it kind of didn't, like, like, is this really the Inter that we know? Like, is this really the Boers, the Ausilio, the Beppe that we know? But clearly, we're already like very advanced in this. And as per Biasin, Ademola Lookman only wants Inter because obviously I don't have it pulled up here, but we have some competition in Atletico Madrid who need to sell first, which basically means that they can't advance in any negotiations because they can't guarantee him a place in the squad if they can't sell first. They need to sell a couple of either left mid slash left winger or a striker, which would mean either Samuel Lino, whose deal with Nottingham Forest collapsed, and also any other strikers that would lead to go, which I don't think they have anyone that they particularly want to sell, which means they are stuck in negotiations because they just can't advance. There is a difference in price for foreign clubs, which means that any foreign clubs, or maybe Premier League clubs as well. Obviously, he is Nigerian, but he grew up in the UK, so it would only make sense for a Premier League club to come in. And the price is 40 million, which is what Inter are offering right now, funnily enough. And for Serie A clubs, because of the direct competition, all of that stuff, need to pay around 50, apparently. So
Mhm.
10 million difference, and we have apparently we'll get into Giovanni Leoni later as well, but apparently we have enough money for both Ademola Lookman and Giovanni Leoni, which is interesting.
Yeah. I and the with the price, I think there is something else that, I mean, we're looking at this as this is happening because this is where I think Fabrizio's stream just ended. We have DiMarzio talking. I mean, they're active right now, so Thomas is trying to get everything out as
Yeah,
quickly as possible. But that Inter are confident in getting up to 45 million with adding bonuses in there. So the 40 million is that limit that I think we can go, and
yeah,
then getting up a little bit extra, getting closer to Atalanta's price, and then of course I get it, having to pay a little bit more for your direct from a direct rival. That's what happens. You can ask the Premier League what their prem tax is, which is you have to pay 100 million for a 40 million player. So, um, yeah, and I don't know if we would have the money without selling for both, but still, I mean, just I think what is I'm really enjoying right now is not so much that we don't need to sell, because obviously you have to make some money
yeah,
to really we aren't City, right? But it's that we don't have to sell first.
yeah,
We have the strength to go in and make a bid. It's like, okay, we can sell these guys later. We see the interest, we know how much we can get for them. It's not going to harm us. We can get that money.
right,
And we don't have to wait on it to come.
right.
And I think that is crucial in trying to finish deals because Dybala, Bremer, um, we've had these situations in the
Buongiorno.
past. Buongiorno. Oh my goodness,
Oh,
yeah. We had to wait until we got the money to go move for him, and then by then it was too late. So, no, I think it's good. It is really good.
yeah. I'm very excited about the things that I'm hearing these past couple of hours. And since we just mentioned it, Giovanni Leoni is apparently, which just to add to your point as well, I'm surprised because you remember last week we were saying on the podcast that, we heard a couple of weeks ago we have a budget for a defender for about 30 million. And then we said we don't really know where that 30 million went. Now apparently you have a budget of 70 million, 30 million for a defender, and 40 million for Ademola Lookman. The money just keeps on coming. I don't know what happened in the last 7 days, but apparently we got 70 million euros more in the bank. I'll take it, but yeah, this is Matteo Moretto's recent updates on Giovanni Leoni. It will be difficult, basically, in short, as Parma wants to keep him, and also Leoni prefers to stay at Parma for regular minutes in order to secure himself or try and secure himself a spot in the World Cup squad for next year for Italy for the national team. And it would obviously be tough to get regular minutes at Inter. Now, not because he's 18, not because, he's not good enough or whatever, but simply because Kivu won't want to throw him in like straight away. Like he'll probably get a decent amount of minutes. We're not saying like he'll get less than 1,000 minutes, but
Mhm.
De Vrij is still like because I'm guessing if someone makes space for Leone, it's going to be Acerbi. De Vrij is still
Mhm.
like that established, experienced, very solid centre back. It's going to be difficult for Leone to play more than half of the games, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah, he's gonna have to be rotating as well. While for Parma, he can play 90 minutes for 38 games in this upcoming season, right? So he could get, I mean, what is that math? I'm gonna quickly try and do that. It's about 3,500 minutes for across the season,
Yeah,
and instead he's gonna have to do, um, he might get 2,500
yeah,
at Inter, but it would be across three competitions. I mean, I think that's enough. Who's gonna take his place? You know? I mean, we do have. I mean, Italy does have good center backs. So you Bastoni, Buongiorno, Scalvini. We'll see how he does with a full preseason after his ACL injury. Calafiori when he
yeah,
comes back. Um, but he's gonna be. It's the Mancini that he's gonna be bumping out, the Gatti that he's gonna be bumping out, and he does need minutes to do that. But it looks like Gattuso is gonna put him first. So yeah, I think he would still get the minutes and he would still get that bid, but he probably wants to help Italy get to the World Cup before, not waiting until the World Cup that Italy still need to qualify for.
yeah.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
listen. Let's not talk about qualifying for now because I'm gonna get slight PTSD. Um, but yeah, no, I think I agree. He's gonna be upgrading, in my opinion, from you
Mhm.
know replacing those Mancinis, Gattis, those kind of like I don't want to say a step below Bastoni, Buongiorno, etc. But slight like you kind of don't want those type of guys as like fillers in your squad if you want to be competing with France, with Argentina, with Brazil, those type of nations. So for him, it's definitely more attractive to stay at Parma. So I see it still being difficult, and we might just settle for another one of the options. But you never know. You never know if Inter are committed
Mhm.
to it, and Beppe actually pulls up in front of his door and says, "Yo, like jump in the whip, we're going to Inter." Like it might be hard for him to say no, but we'll have to wait and
Yeah,
see.
but he's gonna have a bigger chance to prove himself at the highest level at Inter.
100%.
That
Yeah,
that could put him a shoe in to actually play for Italy if he's doing well with Inter. I mean, you got Leone and Bastoni next to each other. You just throw that into the national team. I
it
mean,
makes
we saw
sense, right?
Juve do it. Yeah.
It's like
So,
it's like the point doesn't really matter in terms of him staying at Parma for the national team because you can also secure your spot by playing at Inter because you're playing together with Bastoni, like you just said. It makes it a bit like, is that really why you're staying at Parma, or is it just like the board is getting him to say that to the
mhm.
journalists in order for you know for it to look like he wants to stay? Like really and truly, you can make an argument in both cases in terms of it being good for the national team or positive for his development in the national team. We'll have to wait and see. But there's nothing like super new on him, so we'll see next week, I guess. But yeah, apparently we have the money for both Lookman and Leone, which is interesting. Next up, we have some news on Jackson Chachua, which is a first. I don't think we've been linked with him before, but there's a deal, a possible deal for around 10 million if Denzel Dumfries' release clause is triggered by the end of July. Now, he is 23 years of age, which is an Oaktree type age. However, I personally don't feel like it would be Inter like, especially comparing, the last few seasons were the kind of fullback options that we've had to go into a season should Denzel Dumfries leave with Jackson Chachua and Luis Enrique as our right back options. I don't think that's intermaterial as of right now. Therefore, I
Yeah.
don't really feel any type of way towards this. I just feel like, Inter looking like writing down some names just in case. But I'm not really too impressed by this option.
Yeah, and we talked about it a little bit longer on our first try, but yeah, it doesn't make sense not having a definitive solid option at the right wing back position. So, you know, we talked about Luis Enrique already being a question mark. Can't have two of them, even with the profile that Chachua is. So,
Yeah, like I said, a bit more, even more physical than Humphreys. Maybe not as tall, maybe not as experienced in terms of like, you know, he's played at a top club for years, obviously. Um, Dumfries, I mean, and Chacho obviously doesn't have
yeah.
that, but it's definitely an interesting profile, just not for coupled together with Luis Enrique. I don't feel like that would be the move. Next up, we have some news on Club Brugge, which is related to the Alexander Stankovic stuff, which we'll get into later when we talk about outgoings. But there was some rumors about Ardan Yashari, who's going to Milan most likely, and Joel Ordonez, the Ecuadorian centre back, being included in talks in the possible deal. But none of that was like turned out to be true. Matteo Moretto denied it all in one of the videos. Make sure you guys follow or subscribe to Fabrizio's Italian channel, where he does videos with both himself and Matteo Moretto. They provide all of the news if you speak a little bit of Italian. It's good to watch. And yeah, so Inter does like Joel Ordonez, but that's a common thing for a club to have players in their notes, not really
Yeah.
pushing for anything, which is why, this was denied quickly that he's
And
not involved in any deal.
you want to be prepared. So,
Exactly.
like, you've got to have options and names and continuing to look. And yeah, the Yoshari news is uh, we again we talked at length about it and what they probably were doing in our first attempt at the podcast, but um, that this is probably just agent and clubs working together to make sure that Milan pays that price. I don't think that. I mean, Moretto said that we're not interested, but Club Brugge don't want to be bullied by Milan. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
it's just tactics, market tactics.
pretty much. Yeah. I think the more you learn about the transfer market, I think the more obvious it is that journalists or agents, like you said, do this, here and there to try and push a player's price up, especially the club that is selling the player, just to like create a couple of rumors here and there, just to kind of make the club think that they might have competition even though they actually don't. This is something that it makes sense if you really think about it. It does make sense at the end of the day if you're a club winger to go and do that to you know I guess incite a bidding war that doesn't really exist. So
Yeah, and you want to have good relations.
yeah,
Everybody wants to have good relations with the clubs, so you're gonna kind of give them a favor here and there,
exactly.
just so that you can continue to get news.
Yeah. We'll see how that unfolds, but I doubt there's anything in it, especially since the Stankovic deal is close to being closed, which we'll get into later, like I said. Next up, we have a possible interest, again, reportedly interested. I said this, yesterday that this is very shady in my opinion. This is by Sportbild, and Inter apparently interested in Bayern midfielder João Palhinha, who is 30 years of age. First of all, doesn't fall in Oaktree's target like criteria, whatever you want to call it, and he is valued at 25 to 30 million, which is pretty much the same price that we're trying to sell, or we were trying to get for Çalhanoğlu if he was to go to Galatasaray. But yeah, like I said,
And
go on.
he's not going.
Yeah,
He's not
he's not
leaving
even
now.
leaving either. Yeah, there you go.
So we're paying 25, 30 million to have a 30-year-old replace Asllani. Yeah, okay.
That's it.
Yeah, sure.
That which is why I think this is complete nonsense because It was. I read up on it. It was in an article from Sportbild, which is a German newspaper. I don't want to make comparisons, right? But it's similar to what Italy have with Gazzetta, right? Or Corriere dello Sport, whatever you want to call it. Those type of newspapers. And Sportbild did put like talk about this. This is the journalist that you know tweeted it or wrote it in the article, but it wasn't like a main article. It was just like Bayern squad planning for next season, and then some like 2 lines of text was like Inter might be interested in him. Like if it's not even a main article, then you're just throwing names out there, obviously. So to me, this is nothing worth know of.
And no one has even wasted their breath to deny it.
Yeah, literally, people know that this is nonsense. So I feel like we can kind of defeat that already. And then finally to finish off the incomings for now, guys. Obviously, we'll keep a close eye on Ademola Lookman. We'll see if anything changes as we are recording. I'm still refreshing the pages every now and then to see if anything new comes in. But obviously, it is midnight in Europe now, so maybe not tonight, but maybe tomorrow we'll have some more information, and we'll probably just follow up in the next week. We'll see what happens in the next 7 days. But to finish off the incomings, we have an offer for Udinese Primavera fullback Mattia Marello, who is 17 years of age. I don't know what side he plays on, left or right back, but we don't have an agreement yet. But if we're looking at a fullback from Udinese's Primavera side, then clearly there's something in it because this is also Guaro reporting it, so he obviously knows his stuff, and that is the situation with that. Would be
Yeah.
nice, I guess, maybe
Yeah,
for under 23.
yeah, I think, that's probably the step that this Morello, sorry, is prepared to make. I mean, Udinese bring their academy products through pretty well.
Yeah,
And so just which side is he on? And this news I think connects more to some of our Primavera U23 players that are getting offers at the little bit higher level.
yeah, yeah. We'll touch on that later as well because I know who you're talking about. But yeah, speaking of outgoings, we have more outgoings than incomings in terms of news, obviously, because we still need to clear out a lot of the squad, a lot of the Primavera squad. And the first news that we have is Valentin Carboni to Genoa on a dry loan. Is a here we go, which means, yeah, like for some reason we're paying them 1 million in bonuses based on appearances. Now I don't know if there's a loan fee that Genoa are paying, but if it's anything less than 1 million, this is kind of stupid because why? Like maybe if
Yeah.
they're covering the whole wages for the season, but still,
Yeah.
it seems kind of you know
They
weird
need
to
to be
me.
paying more than we would pay them.
Yeah,
Like it has to be that way. So we'll see what the we probably won't get the numbers until the financial report next year because of course all Interisti have to look at the financial reports now because we've become accountants over the past few years. Um, but yeah, it's you got to let them play and you got to give them incentive to play them. So I understand it, but again, you have to make sure that you're not paying them more than they're paying you. So
absolutely. Yeah. I wonder how that's gonna play out. I wonder if that's you know like how much money is that per game? How like is it per minute? Is it per I don't know, sub appearances, is it per appearances? I wonder how that works, but I guess we'll never get like any true insight into it. But I'm always really interested in like what these bonuses are because it does make a difference at the end of the day because you're, sending out a player on loan and his development depends on if he's going to play half of the games or every game, And I feel like Carboni, especially because he had a move to Marseille last year, he can play every game for Genoa and be a starter 100 million percent. I think you compared him to Nico Paz yesterday. I really like that comparison because it's kind of like similar situation. Low tier Serie A side, you kind of can be the main man if you just play every game, and I really like that. I really like the opportunity for him. So
yeah, and it was for the people that are thinking this is way too low of a level for him, but you could be a big fish in a small pond, like shine and show what you're capable of doing at Genoa, and
yeah,
you're coming back to Inter. There's no confusion of where your future lies. You're coming back to Inter next summer.
yeah,
Show what you can do, and yeah, with the incentives, who knows how it's broken down? Maybe. it's one lump sum of 1 million. Maybe it's broken down. You get to this point, you get this much. This point, this much.
Yeah,
So, um, yeah, I would love to see that in his development.
yeah.
So
It was supposed to be this season, like now that you said, come back next summer, prove yourself. It's a shame about the ACL injury, really, because it could have been this season. Plus, especially now that we're switching to a 3-4-2-1, that could have been the perfect season for him to have a decent season at Marseille. And then Kivu says, you know what, come back, you're fitting right into that system. We don't need to buy someone, blah, blah, blah. It could have been, but, it's unfortunate. So
yeah, and
hopefully,
Marseille I think had a 40 million option for him last summer, which
yes, correct.
they're not. They weren't going to take that
Yeah,
option. That's way too much for. I mean, unless he did better than what Greenwood did for them this season, that's the only way I see them spending 40 million
yeah,
on Carboni. So he was going to come back regardless, and yeah, it's such a shame. So uh, him being at Genoa also allows all of Inter and Interisti to watch him closely, because I know many weren't going to watch him at Marseille, but now you can watch him every week.
yeah,
So pay attention. It's
yeah.
going to be good.
It's one of those if you see a Sunday 12:30 p.m. kickoff for Genoa, you're gonna tune in just because Valentin Carboni's playing is one of those ones. So it might be a lot easier for a lot of us to see him every now and then. Next up, guys, we have two pieces of news on Francesco Acerbi. There was first the report by Simone Tonia, who said that Inter's considering the option worth 0.5 million to terminate Francesco Acerbi's contract 1 year early. This is obviously related to a possible signing of Giovanni Leoni. Now, Gazzetta denied this and said Inter does not seem inclined to trigger the 0.5 million option to terminate Francesco Acerbi's contract a year early. Instead, if a club were to show interest in the 37-year-old, the situation would change. Now, I read yesterday, I think, that a Premier League club is interested. I don't know how serious that is, but I think the source was FC Inter News, so I guess take it with a pinch of salt because I don't know where they got it from, but they usually double check their stuff. But the fact that Gazzetta said this to deny Simone Tonia is interesting to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean we'll see what goes on with him. He's the person that's going to make the room for Leone to come in, and having that 5 or point 0.5 million, that 500K option to terminate his contract for that cheap instead of buying out the rest of his contract, um, is good. It's good to have that option, and um, if he has a Premier League interest, that's crazy.
Yeah,
I can't imagine
what
any
team?
of the top clubs. Someone that spent, it's got to be one of the promoted teams that spent a ton of money already in other departments, and they need someone at the back to reinforce their defense. So I mean, he's gonna, if it's one of those promotion teams, it's gonna be okay because he's not gonna be able to run at the pace of the Premier League, but they're gonna play with a low block all season, and he's gonna thrive. So, um, yeah, we'll
Why?
see. And then of
Yeah.
course,
Why did I think of
and
Sunderland? I don't know
yeah,
why. Why would that be
because
funny as hell?
it would be hilarious, but I feel like that's the only place that makes sense. You
Yes.
can't.
With all due
There's no
respect, of
way.
course.
Yeah, Francesco Acerbi going to Spurs with that. I know Postecoglou has left Spurs, but if they continue to play, modern football, high line, progressive football, Acerbi's gonna be skinned alive all game long.
Imagine, imagine. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see if that's actually true or not. But I would terminate the contract, in a heartbeat in order to get in Leone.
Yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday because the difference in age between Acerbi and Leone is literally bigger than Leone's age itself. So you can,
Yeah.
like make of that what you want.
Him,
Actually, you don't
Leone
make of it what you want.
making
You
that
just have to agree.
switching those two would drop Inter's average starting squad age from 30 to probably 22.
100
I'm
million
exaggerating
percent.
it just a little bit, but
I'm not good at
having
maths,
a
but we'll something like that. Yeah, like
we have an 85-year-old down to a 18-year-old We're changing the average age
Yeah, yeah,
real
we
quick.
we take those. We might change the average age even more since Galatasaray is set to make an offer for Jan Sommer for a 2-year contract worth 5 million plus bonuses, which is a hefty amount. There is no agreement with Inter yet. The club would like to keep Sommer in the final year of his contract, which is important to note that it is the final year of his contract. Which also tells me that we're gonna have a Handanovic Onana situation like we discussed last episode, where Josep Martinez and Sommer just kind of, interchange in terms of who plays and everyone gets like half the amount of games kind of thing. Not just Martinez getting the Coppa Italia games, but actually getting a decent amount of minutes because the 15 million were obviously invested in him for a reason. But yeah, this is new. This is pretty much the recent update on Jan Sommer. This is from this afternoon. And we'll have to wait and see, I guess, if Galatasaray are actually serious about this. I would keep him for another year just to kind of have that transition that I just described. But
Mhm.
yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, yeah. I know we talked about it yesterday, about why he was going to be free, and of course, it has to do with the Osimhen deal. They have limited funds that they can spend. They have wages that they would rather give instead of spending transfer fee. So if they get Osimhen and they spend their entire budget there, then the goalkeeper that they would want would be Sommer for free because Inter would let him leave for free. They
Right.
wouldn't really, like, they wouldn't ask someone to pay more than 1 million for a 36, 37-year-old goalkeeper. However, their first choice goalkeeper is Ederson from City. So that's where they would pay for a goalkeeper. So we kind of have to keep an eye on what Galatasaray are able to do and if ADL is going to continue to, boss them around and cause
Oh
them
man.
problems and things. So,
Yeah.
but I would love to keep him for another year, just to like to your point, because that transition of we can plan for next summer on who we're going to go get instead of a panic second option buy right now.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. I heavily agree. I feel like it would be stupid to let him go now. I think Jan Sommer's not, necessarily like he doesn't necessarily want to leave, so unless they offer him a crazy amount of money, I don't think they would convince him either. But we'll have to just wait and see. And yeah, I'd be more than happy to keep him for now. Then I swapped around a couple of the news. Don't be confused, right? I just swapped around the tweets. But Marcus Thuram, next up, guys, remains unsellable for Inter. We have had some reports that Premier League teams are interested, or there's interest from the Premier League, right? We don't know if it's one or several teams. However, Inter would ask for 65 to 70 million, which obviously seems like it's just like irrelevant because apparently, according to Alfredo Pedula, it's like there's no way he's leaving anyway,
Mhm.
which to me is good. And also, we mentioned this at the start about Ademola Lookman. That means that we won't have to sell Thuram in order to fit him in, and there's also enough space next to Thuram, which then tells me, which is what we talked about last week, a 3-4-2-1 seems like the main formation. And even if we do want to sometimes go back to a 3-5-2, we can because 5 strikers are still there.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a ton of options with that, and yeah, Turam being unsellable. Pedula came out and made that definitive statement. He knows his stuff. So
correct.
the only way that it looks like Turam is leaving is the release clause being paid. 85 million release clause. You can come in, you can pay that, you can convince him to come to your club. Otherwise, he's staying. Uh, which is awesome, and I hope that he gets his rest. He heals. Lautaro and him have made up. Everyone read into him liking Instagram posts, and
That's
2 days after Hakan, after this news of him being upset, Lautaro posted and Turam liked and commented. It's like they're adults, they're professionals, these are their friends. They're gonna like their Instagram posts without really putting too much thought into it. So,
yeah,
um, yeah, so it's gonna be good. It's good because we are now going to have like we're gonna have our starting options, our guarantees almost on performance. Turam is important to the way we play. Boni, of course, comes in and brings that as a backup, a
yeah,
similar profile. But if you can add, if you can add Ademola Lookman, Turam, Lautaro, that is a powerful front three. because also Lautaro would be able to be the one that drops deeper.
Yeah,
Like it would be Lookman and Lautaro together.
yeah,
I that's gonna be a fierce front three, and oh man, I would love it so much.
yeah. And it seems like we're pushing. We're really pushing. So let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what happens. Some sales wouldn't be bad, and it seems like we're close to one of them. As Inter and Club Brugge are still in discussions about a buyback clause in a deal for Alexander Stankovic. Now the Belgian side would like 30 million, while Inter prefers 25 million. And today I read that they're closing in on negotiations. I didn't see any numbers, but maybe they're, agreeing on somewhere in between. We had 28 million as the first number that we read about a buyback clause. And then now Di Marzio said, 25 million, whilst the Belgians want 30 million. I still think it's too high. I said this before. I also think the fee is too low, but it makes sense why these numbers are, appearing because Brugge doesn't want to, lose him
They don't want
for
one at all.
exactly. They don't want it at all. But if they do have a buyback clause, they want it to be high because they clearly see something in him, which is also good because it
Mhm.
means that he's obviously a good player, right? But 10 million is a bit like I don't know if that's not a little too low. I know it's the Swiss league, but I mentioned this like the Swiss league isn't the worst in the world. The Belgian league's not that much better. Therefore, I feel like we should push the buyback clause to 20 million, maximum 25 maybe, but 20 million will be ideal for me.
Yeah. No, it would be good to be 20 million. And one thing that I wanted to say again that I said yesterday is that if you rate him that he's going to be 30 million in a year, you can't rate him at 10 million this summer,
Correct.
right? Sure, 15, 18 million, and you could argue for a 28, 30 million buyback clause. That would make more sense. You actually think that he is that level of a player, and so pay up. But to rate him at 10 million and then that he's going to be 30 million in a year, I think is unfair. I do think he's a good player, and I hope we can get what we want closer to what we want. If we
Yeah.
can agree in the 23 to 25 million range, um, it could be, yeah, it could be good. And they're going to play Champions League football this year. They have one qualification stage before they're into the group stage or the table, the league phase, I guess is what they
Correct.
call
Yeah.
it now. So, um, yeah, I hope they do it. I hope he's a central part of that. He gets Champions League football and he shows what he's capable of because who knows, maybe we get 25 million buyback clause and he's a 35, 40 million worth player by
Yeah.
next summer. That would
Yeah.
be crazy. So, yeah,
Which is why you have to include it, to be honest. And I also read that there's a possible sell-on clause being discussed now as well. We'll have to see. Both will be even better, but you never
mhm.
know.
Yeah.
And
And remember, if this is for all of the listeners, if we have a not a buyback clause, sorry, a percentage, a resale clause, the percentage of the sale back, that would make the sale cheaper for us. So, like, if
yeah,
we go in and we
correct.
buy for 30 million, we get that percentage back to us, even if it is us buying. So technically, it would still be cheaper for us to get at the same price as someone else.
Correct, yeah. Correct. We'll have to wait and see if that's inserted as well. Next up, guys, something that is related to Ademola Lookman actually is Atalanta is very interested in Christian Asllani, who could be included in the deal for Ademola Lookman. Now, we just read literally just a couple of minutes ago that there is no negotiations about this yet, but obviously this is a possibility, which Guaro's definitely not just making it up. It's very obvious that if they like him and Inter like Lookman, it makes sense that, it might be a possibility to discuss this, but there wasn't any official talks. I don't know if there's official, but you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
there wasn't any
Yeah.
talks about this in the negotiations yet. I don't know if there's separate negotiations about this. However, there might be, it makes sense to include him in a deal and then maybe make Lookman cheaper by like 15, maybe even 20 million to, just ease that kind of like, you get rid of Asllani because you've been wanting to sell him anyway. And the board
Mhm.
is, quote unquote, fed up apparently of him not wanting to leave.
Yep.
So,
And he wants to stay in Italy.
yeah,
You know, they're they're gonna be they're playing Champions League again. So He's gonna be playing Champions League football. It's not. He's gonna have the same amount of games. Atalanta only have Ederson really as his definitive starting midfielder. So they need more bodies there. He's gonna get good game time in a system that I think suits him more. It's not a sole regista. It's a double pivot. So,
Yeah,
um, and I know I say that as we're moving to that double pivot, but that doesn't mean that he's capable of playing for Inter.
yeah,
It's a different level. So, I think it's good, and if we can get 15, 20 million as his value to Atalanta, that would be great. So, I hope I hope they are interested. I know Fiorentina advanced in their interest, so we just need something concrete. And if Asllani wants to stay in Italy, there are your options. You have two
yeah.
teams playing in Europe. Choose one.
I actually tweeted this morning that the Fiorentina rumors were actually not true, as
Okay.
Stefano Pioli doesn't want to make any signings in midfield yet before he has, evaluated his own players in midfield in training, basically in pre-season, which is makes sense. You don't want to rush into signing without getting to know your midfielders first, especially if you're a coach coming in. So just so you know, that was from this morning that
Okay.
there's not actually any interest. It's just um, I don't know where it came from actually. I don't know where it came from, but
Just yeah, throwing a name at a wall, just like players
yeah,
do to us.
yeah, there's no negotiations pretty much, which doesn't mean that he's not on the list, but obviously Pioli wants to evaluate his
It
squad
won't
first
happen
at
now.
Fiorentina. Yeah,
Yeah.
and similar to Lookman and Asllani, I forgot to mention this in the tweet because I had the tweet up earlier. Parma have inquired about or has inquired about Sebastiano Esposito today, and yesterday we got the news that Borussia Mönchengladbach are interested, and Fiorentina and Cagliari already knew about last week. I think Cagliari submitted an offer with 7 plus 2, I think, so 7 million euros plus 2 in bonuses. Gladbach just inquired. I don't think they submitted an offer. However, this is interesting because the tweet earlier that I had up stated that he could be included in a possible deal with Giovanni Leoni, right? Now, if he can make both of those sales whilst getting the players that we want from, the respective clubs, that would be a great scenario, right?
That's the way to do it. Honestly, if
Yeah,
you've got some interest and um, you would probably get more of the value of your player that way. Uh, teams have done this the way that Juve kind of got in trouble for their Plus Valenza is you value these players at a certain value. You might have to pay a little bit more in the total fee for some of these players. So like, yeah, you have to pay 25, 30 million for Ademola Lookman, but you consider Asllani 20 million. So that's now 20 million to Inter. And then you get Seba Esposito and Leoni, you're going to pay 35 million for him. Well, now you can pay the 15 of Asllani and then 20 to 25 for Leoni. So now they get
exactly.
40 and we get 15. You're still decreasing the price. You're getting these players out that don't have a spot in the squad anymore. It's good if we can do that. I would just it's important to that they're interested, which is good. It's good news.
Yeah. Again, I said this last week. I would prefer him to go to Fiorentina because I feel like, or even the Bundesliga, right? However, Fiorentina would be good in terms of, he can be together up front with Moiskin, that would be a great duo. But also the Bundesliga would be good in terms of, finding his feet. I think you score minimum 10 goals in that league. And then, yeah, hopefully he chooses the right club. Again, Palmer would also be a good option. I think Palmer would be decent. He would be the main man, he'd be the striker. So yeah, I'm
Also,
more than open
yeah,
for it.
yeah, those two would be the best I think for him is
Correct.
Parma and Mönchengladbach. I think is his name Vincenzo Grifo.
Yes.
He plays kind of like a winger
Doesn't he
for
play for
Freiburg.
Freiburg? Yeah.
Yeah. So like he's played for the national team. Going to the Bundesliga does not stop Seba from getting onto the national
Yeah.
team. And he would play in a league that would help him develop, you
Yeah.
know. If he gets what if he gets close to 20 goals and assists in all competitions? 10 goals, 10 assists. That's kind of the player that he is. He's not really a 9, a true soul number 9. He's going to want to feed some players, and the Bundesliga is known for goals, so it would be good. I like that as a spot for him, and then
Palmer.
yeah, and then Parma. Sorry, yeah, my brain's a little bit fried, but
So don't worry
and then
about it.
Parma. Bony's gone. They've got to fill that number 9, and so
True.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that would be perfect as well. And then another striker that's leaving is Mediterranean, who has accepted, if the conditions and offer is right, to leave Inter this summer. Now, both parties are ready to go their separate ways. Fulham, Besiktas, and a Qatari club are interested in this forward. In the forward who would like to remain in Europe. So obviously that would kind of, cancel out the Qatari club. But all of these clubs would definitely be able to offer him, some pretty decent wages still. I heard Nottingham Forest and Fenerbahce were interested as well. I don't know why they're not listed here, but maybe that's kind of like just one off. But this is Gateta, so again, take it with a pinch of salt. Yeah, where
I
is he
mean,
going?
those those two leagues actually, it's kind of interesting because the level of those teams are similar in both leagues. So they can give him the wages that he wants in both leagues.
Yeah,
One in the Turkish Super League, he'd be playing in Europe with those teams.
yeah,
So that might be more intriguing to him. While in the Premier League, you can get the Premier League money. He'd probably do well in the Premier League. You've got, the whole world watching you with the best marketed league in the entire world. So it's I think it's good options both directions for him. And yeah, I hope the best to him. It just was unfortunate with Inter.
yeah, yeah, obviously. And then finally, guys, I say finally, in terms of first team players anyway, Tajin Buchanan is getting closer to Sassuolo now. We've had a bunch of news on this the other day, but or the last few days, I want to say. But Sassuolo are known to, have a bit of money. They have some rich owner apparently. Like I don't know what's going on, but they usually, if you remember, they spent how much on Pinamonti? Like 18 million, and I couldn't believe it back then. I genuinely couldn't believe it, but here we are
They
again.
also they also own their own stadium, right? So they're not one of the
It's a
Italian
rare
clubs
thing
that
with
have to
Italy,
pay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
go on.
yeah, yeah, just it's good. Again, another unfortunate career at Inter. So, if we can get a little bit more than what we were asking for, and then of course Villarreal didn't take their option for him, and so maybe they'll come back, but who knows about that? So, uh, yeah, if he can stay in Italy and we get to see what he could have been, it might be fun. But you know that Sassuolo Buchanan former Inter player curse and Sassuolo who terrorizes both Milan clubs. It's just inevitable. Good performance is going to come from him.
That combined would be horror, man. He'd score a hat trick on our heads for the first game back,
Mhm.
man. But yeah, there's talks of a buyback clause, maybe a sell-on clause, maybe both. Inter do not want a loan, and since you mentioned it, Villarreal are back in the race. Which I said this last week. It's funny how they didn't take their buy option on the loan, but now they want him again, and they'll pay more. So too bad, really and truly. But
Yeah,
uh, yeah, they don't. So Inter do not want to loan him out. Inter only want to sell him. Inter are adamant on a permanent deal, rightfully so. Put a buyback clause in, put a sell-on clause in. Get him gone for what, like 15 million. We signed him for 13 back then, so
yeah,
15 plus and fine. But if you sell him for less, then that's not a good look. So I feel like we shouldn't really, accept like anything less than like 13, pretty much. So
mhm. Yeah.
we'll
Get
see.
your money back.
Exactly.
Mhm.
We'll see where he goes. But he has interest, which is good. So much on that. And then we have a bunch of news on like Primavera players slash loanees, which I'll just quickly go through. Now, Enzo Raiola has said that, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's Matteo Cocchi's agent, right?
I think so. Yeah.
So he said that we spoke about some young players for the Ireland 23 team today. We're evaluating Matteo Cocchi, who has some requests from abroad and even in Serie A. There will be time to understand the right situation for him, which is good because, like I said, I think he's ready for Serie A, and wherever abroad is, like that's also great. If again there's a club from the Swiss league is coming in or Belgian league or whatever, I think he's good enough for those type of leagues, and he's definitely too good for the under 23 team, third division.
Yeah.
Definitely too good. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Top division football, if he's going, if the offers abroad also have some European football as well, that's perfect. You know, that's the experience that he needs and that he's ready for. So I like it. He can. We need to keep control of him
Yeah, for
because
sure.
he can come back and help us in the future.
Yeah, there's a left back especially that would be nice. Same thing applies to Ebenezer Akinson Miro, who is just this was just in literally like an hour ago as well. Pisa are close to finalizing a deal for the midfielder, who will leave on loan with the option to buy, which is interesting because I didn't read that in yesterday's tweet, but there's an option to buy apparently in there. But Inter will have a buyback clause regardless, so it kind of cancels it out anyway. However, yeah, so he was on loan at Sampdoria obviously last season with Serie B, with the Serie B side, and now Pisa got relegated. Sorry, promoted, not relegated. Sorry, with Pippo Inzaghi at the wheel. Obviously, he's now gone to Palermo, but it's interesting because clearly, this would mean that they are planning with him to be a starter. But this is a Serie A team. I know they just got promoted, but this is a clear statement that they believe in the midfielder and believe in his qualities, right?
Yeah, and every promoted team wants to stay up, and if this is their one of their first signings to make that happen, he's talented enough to help them. So I hope to see something good. Loan is good, of course. If they take their option and we have a buyback clause, good. He's ready for Serie A. He showed he was ready for Serie B in a bad Sampdoria side. So and we got, uh, I think I mentioned it. I couldn't remember what it was, but I think it was 2 seasons ago at the end of the season after we won the Scudetto. We had a couple cameos from him,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
liked what I saw. So,
yeah. We did
so
correct.
yeah,
So
it's a good move.
yeah, definitely. I hope they manage to close it soon. He can get preseason and everything. And then we have just two more pieces of news on loanees returning. Thomas Palacios, who's struggled at Monza. We talked about it last season, last week's episode. He has interest not just from Sport, but also from Olympiacos and several other European sides. We'll have to see where it goes. Nothing concrete yet, but Inter obviously open to negotiations. We'll have to see where it goes. Once there's more, concrete news, we'll update you guys on that. And then same thing with Franco Carboni, which seems like it's more advanced now because Di Marzio said that he will join Empoli on loan. The deal is done and medicals will take place on Wednesday, which is, well, today pretty much, right? So
Mhm.
that is going to be wrapped up and probably official by the end of the week. So yeah, again, he was obviously on loan at Venezia. Didn't really impress too much. He wasn't bad, but back to Serie B, I guess.
Yeah, a team that's gonna shoot for promotion. So good for him.
Yep, have to see where it goes.
Hmm.
And then some Primavera news, guys, to finish off, or under 23, however you want to see it. Giacomo De Pierre's loan move to Juve Stabia and Serie B is expected to be completed in the next days when the 18-year-old forward will undergo medicals and sign. Now, yesterday we got the news that it's close, but this is basically confirming that, again, from Di Marzio, that it is done. Good because the same thing with Matteo Cocchi is just too good for Serie C, and I feel like this is a decent move in order to get some playing time.
Yeah,
And
I'm
then
glad he's going to the only Juve that's worth anything.
lovely for you to mention that because it's a dangerous name that they have for sure. Yeah.
Hmm.
We'll have to wait and see how he develops there. And then we have some news on Matteo Spinace, sorry, who had a few sides interested from Serie B, but it looks like it's going to be Modena who are going to snatch him up for this season. And again, too good for the third tier of Italian football. Very good season last season with the Primavera and then the youth league as well. And
Hmm.
yeah, he can be their main man up front, hopefully as well. So
Yeah,
should be a
yeah.
good
This
deal.
is just with all of these Primavera moves that we are gonna have over the summer. Like we could talk about them individually, but all of them getting moves to Serie B has been something that we have been trying to do for these guys for a long time. I mean, that's what Serie B is there for, really,
Yeah,
just to get these talented players game time. I'm glad they're getting it, and I know in North America, I think it's the US and Canada, if you can watch the Serie B on Destination Calcio. Um,
Okay.
I might I might tweet their tag some point during the season because I use them, but it's good because we can now watch these guys as well in Serie B if you're outside of Europe or outside of Italy and you can't get Serie B. So
Interesting. And I didn't know. I have to see how I can watch it. I don't know if there's any legal way, otherwise we have to go to other other forms of, yeah, we'll see. But
yeah,
it is good that you mentioned them going to Serie B, because we've had a lot of Primavera guys just getting loaned out to Serie C, and you kind of don't really want that. But we know at the same time that they're good enough for the second division. So it is good to see that. But speaking of the third tier of Italian football, we have some rules that Gazzetta has informed us of in terms of the under 23 side, who, by the way, started training on Monday. So no official announcement, no pictures, no nothing. We don't even know if it happened, but apparently it happened. So they started training on Monday, which is this week, under
we
the
were
command
we
of.
were hoping this extra day was going to give us some pictures,
Yeah,
but
but no
it didn't.
pictures. No
So
pictures yesterday, no
yeah,
pictures today, no reports, nothing. But they did start training. So much on that. And there are four players that can be over the age of 23 in the squad, provided none have made more than 50 Serie A appearances. Giuseppe Prestia is the first player that will be, part of that squad. No official announcement yet for him either. We don't even know where he is. We don't know like what he's doing, but apparently he's the first signing. And then Thomas mentioned this, and I hope this is the case anyway, that we have one experienced player in each position. So goalkeeper, defender, midfielder, and attacker, just to have one player to kind of, help the younger players understand how the league works, because it is grown men football at the end of the day. It is semi-pro, but it is a difference to Primavera. If you're good enough, then you're good enough. Who knows? They might even be able to push for promotion, but it
yeah,
is, a grown
yeah.
men league. So
There's serious consequences in Serie C.
yeah,
We saw with Milan Futuro that they got relegated and scrapped their whole U23 project after 1 year because it was unsuccessful. And I
yeah,
went on a soapbox yesterday on this, and I'll keep it a little bit shorter today. That I know it's annoying to hear like older players coming into the U23 side, but if we start out with just Primavera players being bumped up, you've got a team of 19-year-olds that need some direction on the pitch. Not
yeah.
so much in training, but on the pitch, looking towards someone that has played at this level, that knows these teams, that knows that the ball's going to bounce awkwardly when it hits the pitch over there because they haven't done any groundskeeping for a month. You know, y-
Real
some of
rough
these
football
things,
pitches.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's things that these older guys from Serie G clubs will know. It's going to be super helpful. And so, as long as this happens really only for the next 2 years, 2 or 3 years, maybe, it's a good thing. The rules are there because they know these older guys can help development even at this level.
correct.
So
Yeah,
um, it's don't complain too much. We're gonna have 8 to 10 U23 players playing in that team every week, so
yeah.
it's gonna be good.
Not as bad as people make it out to be. People were complaining and saying, "Oh, Beppe has his hands in this under 23 team even," but no, like there's clearly just a need for some guidance, and then hopefully, um you know again, hopefully we can do well in that league as well, and maybe even push for promotion. You never know. But yeah, guys, that is everything for today. Again, very excited about Ademola Lookman. Very, very excited to see where this goes. I think that's the main thing for today. I think if we can close in on that signing, that would be incredible. But yeah,
Hmm.
I'll sign us off with the usual, guys. If you are not subscribed yet on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you leave a like as well. If you are listening on the different platforms, make sure you give us a 5-star rating. All of that good stuff, and comment on any platform. Maybe which guests you might want. We might have a special guest next week, so look out for that. Um, maybe in the future, the upcoming episodes after next week, we'll get on some other guests as well. Just let us know in the comments who you would like to see. And also let us know your opinion on anything that we discussed. Of course, this is the Inter Extra podcast, so we will always round you up, give you a good roundup of the latest transfer news. Therefore, yeah, let us know your opinions. We'll be very happy to read the comments. Always love reading comments as well. We always, send them in the group chat in order to see what the people are saying. But we're very, very grateful for the support as well. Last episode got over 1,000 views on YouTube and a lot of listens on the other platforms as well. So yeah, we're very grateful.
Can't thank y'all enough. Can't thank y'all enough. It's been
So
great, and we've gotten some good suggestions as well, and we're always looking to improve. So we're seeing everything. Thank you guys, and also he has forgotten to mention it this time. Simi's really good about doing this every time, but we're getting close to 70K on
thank you
Twitter,
on
on X.
Twitter. Yes,
Go follow us. Tell your friends to follow us. Honestly, tell your Premier League friends, your La Liga friends, your Bundesliga, your La Liga, your Swiss league, your
everyone.
Austrian Bundesliga, everyone, go tell them to follow us so they can receive the latest news.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Well, very well said. But yeah, for now, guys, that will be the end of another episode. I hope to see you all, or we hope to see you all back next week as per usual. Make sure you stay locked in. Make sure you stay updated on the latest news. We'll see if we end up signing Mr. X. But for now, guys, that will be everything. And yeah, we are out. Forza Inter.
Forza Inter.